on, Degen Nation? Kenny Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast this week for one of our favorites, the Honda Classic. As usual, I am here with everybody's favorite Canadian, Tyler Tamboline. Tyler, what is up, my friend?
What's going on, Kenny? Lots to talk about. Excited for this one. You mentioned it. This is actually the event that we met at. Got to see Sung Jae Im get the job done. I think it was 2-3 years ago now. So hopefully can get back to another event. If not, we're for sure going to plan to get together for the President's Cup when it comes to Canada. But for the time being, we're going to get ready to talk this event. Before we hop in, want to remind everyone very quickly, this show is brought to you and presented by PrizePicks.com. Head on over to PrizePicks.com. Use promo code MMN. Get yourself signed up. You get a 100% deposit bonus up to your first $100. Lots going on. The PGA lines, if you will, were up today, Kenny. They came back down. They went back up. I'm not 100% certain that they're fully accurate, so I don't want to steer people in the wrong direction, but there is going to be a lot of options to take advantage of. A lot of carnage can happen here. They've got birdies are better, matchups up, guys, one guy versus another. You just bet more or less birdies on it. Put 2 or 3 of those together to set yourself up. Make as much money as you want from there. So we will keep getting after it here on the show. The more the season goes on, obviously NFL ended, so now we're getting into that stuff, Kenny. But man, what another event. I'm not going to use the same cheesy line everyone else does and say total domination, but it is pretty incredible stuff. You could say heartbreak for Homa. Some emotion shown there at the end. A great battle from him, but as expected, just another amazing event. We said at the start of the season, no surprise, but these designated events are going to be awesome. Every single time we get a little break in the middle here, then we go right back to API players for a couple more. So a lot of good stuff to talk about, man. Tiger back in the mix. Give me your first thoughts on the event. Rahm winning, Homa losing, Tiger back. What did you think?
It was sort of the role reversal of last week where Scheffler got all the breaks and he went ahead and win. And this week, Rahm got all the breaks and then went ahead and won. I mean, you need luck to go ahead and win. And it's happened the last 2 weeks. Both the guys, Scheffler and Rahm, very lucky to get their W's. Scheffler, missing everything left and finding the woods and trees and being narrowly escaping like crazy danger at the waste management. And this past week we saw with Rahm, the bounce off the stands to like 3 feet for eagle, which was fucking sick. And then, he hits it like over the parking lot, like over the grandstand. I've done that shit before. Never got a drop in my life, but I guess it's sort of similar to what happened with Spieth. But instead of it being on another fairway, it's in the parking lot. I thought that was strange, that ruling, but he got the ruling. I mean, you use those rule guys to your advantage. If they're going to favor you, then you take your ruling and you go. I have no problem with that. I mean, sometimes it's going to look shady, but it all comes down to the rules official, and the rules official says yes, you go with it. I mean, fuck it, that's just the way you got to go with it. I know a lot of people weren't that happy about that ruling. They weren't too happy about Xander's ruling last week when he was in the animal hole.
Second opinion too, by the way, on that one.
Go ahead.
Well, no,
he got a second opinion
because it does drive me a little bit crazy. 2 things. One, like you said, like that, you can get a second opinion and do that. I know here's the thing about the rules. The rules are the rules, Kenny, meaning in the sense, not the obvious, but just saying like, oh, I don't like this rule, so I am allowed to get someone else. If he says it's okay, then it's okay. That's true. And the other rule is like, oh, what happened to Rahm, you can count on me waiting for you in the parking lot. If that can happen to Rahm, it can count on somebody else. So they say it's fair, but I hate that rule because it's like, yes, it's the same for everyone, but the guy that actually hit the good shot doesn't get rewarded. The guy that hits the shitty shot still gets to have sort of the same advantage. Fairway, rough, it's not the same, but he didn't get any penalty for going over that. And it's the rule. It would be the same if he went there, but I hate it because the guy that hit the good shot doesn't get any extra reward for hitting the good shot. That's just the game of golf. I know it's the rules. I'm a stickler. Maybe I'm old boomer, whatever you want to call me. I just hate that. I really do. And I don't think it's unfair. I hate about the game of golf, the rules where because it's fair for everyone, it should be cool with you, but it's not fair to everyone because somebody hit a great fucking shot and the other guy hit a bad one, and now they're basically in the same position for the most part because they're professional golfers.
Yeah, I mean, you just deal with it. I mean, the thing about it is Rahm, his putting was unbelievable. Honestly, going into the bag 9, I thought Homa was going to win. When Homa birdied 10 and went -4 on 10 for the week, which is incredible. As you would think, a drivable par 4 everyone's been talking about that hole. The drivable par 4 will be easy birdie, but it was not. It was one of the more difficult holes, just because of the way everything lined up. And so going -4, I thought he was going to win, and then he missed that short birdie on 11. And then he bogeyed 13. And at that point in time, Rahm made some crazy eagle, right? If I'm not mistaken, or he had an eagle, I think on 12 or 11. I think on 11 to come back and catch up, and Homa just couldn't, keep the pedal to the metal for another week. Keith Mitchell, Cashmere Keith now. No more Killer Keith. Cashmere Keith proclaimed the best dressed golfer on tour now. He played well. Cantlay came back through at the end. Personally, for me, it was an extremely frustrating week. I mean, the week started off, I took Wednesday off to watch Full Swing, and we'll talk about that in a second. But Tuesday night, I threw my back out, and I couldn't move. So I wasted a PTO, paid time off day, when I could have just taken a sick day. You know what I'm saying? Still get paid for a sick day. And so that sucked. And then, Wednesday, I could barely move. I had to skip the E9 podcast because I couldn't sit. That's how bad it was. So it was actually good that I just laid around and watched the Netflix series all day, which sucked. And then when we get to the tournament itself, I'm looking okay. 5 of 6 getting through. Spieth missing the cut on the number. And then Taylor Moore was top 20 with 7 holes left and goes 5 over on the last 7 to miss the cut by 1. So instead of going 5 for 6, automatic cash, automatic winning week, I had to sweat the weekend with a 4 of 6, which I still had an opportunity. Only less than 30% of lineups in double ups were 6 of 6, but that means I would have to be like the top 10% of everybody else. So and then all my guys just shit the bed on the weekends. It was horrible. So a very, very frustrating week. The GPPs weren't great at all. None of the bets hit. So I'm looking to get past last week. Again, this whole season has been win-loss, 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 win-loss. So, I'm 50% for the year. I think I'm 9-7 now. Don't restart the computer. I'm 9-7 now for the year. I need to step it up. Hopefully in these next few weeks, I get it done. And, this week, cash strategy changes quite a bit from the norm, especially with a field like this. So we'll see how it goes. Anything else on the event from last week, Tambo?
I think a bunch more. Just talking about it quickly, I had a few things. One is for sure the Rahm Homa thing, like you said, down the stretch. Homa, to me, and I started off the day talking about this in the Discord over at RPS, and I had Rahm on the main slate. I loved him. Couldn't believe he came in at 13% in the mega. I had a Rahm Cantlay start. Nice little setup to my lineup there. Still did not min cash it, even because the other guys that missed the cut, Spieth, Norin, Patrick Rogers, worst play of the week of my life, maybe, by the way. But just to note, when you go back and look at it, like the Homa thing, what I thought about for Sunday, I had Rahm again for round 4 in my main lineup, thinking about going, and I switched with like 15 minutes to lock. And it didn't, I think they kind of balanced. It's crazy, you'll see, but they still kind of balanced because the position points and the scoring weren't like incredible. Like you had the long putt and you had the almost hole-in-one, but they didn't equal to a bunch of points there. And Homa still did quite a bit of work making up the score in the first few holes. So forget that. But I really did think what it was, and you could see it afterwards. Everyone loves Homa, of course, but a very likable guy. All those factors. We'll talk about Brooks when we get to Full Swing. But the thing about Homa that I was saying going into the last round, everyone gives him shit for the not showing up in the majors. Well, the run that happened with him, there's been some majors, but I think this is the year that we see it actually start happening in the majors. Just the game is on point, so good all around. The confidence, everything is there. Everything he said after the round was incredible when it came to the fact of he did what he had to do. He put the pressure on. It didn't work out on the back 9, but man, right down to the very end, even on that last hole, the incredible back and forth between him and his caddy. His caddy saying, depends on what you want to do. Are you playing for the 3? Are you protecting second place money? Because you're probably not beating Jon Rahm here. Are you trying to beat him? And like you expect from a guy like Max Homa, no, we're going for it. And you love to see that. But I really thought he would treat yesterday, and he did, you could tell, like a major. Like if he can knock off the Goliath in Jon Rahm, that would be like not only winning the event for 2 times there, seeing Tiger again. It was like a major, but just the way he was treating it, and he just played incredible, man. So that was awesome to see. Some other guys, Cantlay, going back to the luck thing, because I was on Rahm. I'm not making fun of Rahm for going in the thing and not getting the call. Everyone gets lucky to win tournaments. It's the same in DFS. oh, how does this guy always win first? It gets so lucky. No, you put yourself in the position to get lucky. Morikawa makes that eagle down the stretch and the streak to run out. That won people qualifier tickets yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That won people big money in DFS, but they had him on Saturday. He couldn't putt for shit. What if he just made all those putts on Saturday and sucked on Sunday and still scored the same? No one would have said he got lucky or all that. It's just the way golf goes. Everyone gets the breaks throughout the tournament, but it was nice to see Cantlay, Zalatoris, Morikawa, Theegala. Love seeing Theegala down the stretch, making those extra birdies and find his way, moving up to the top, especially if you, like I did, binged out on Full Swing and just see him talking about it and having to relive it. So we'll talk about that in a second, Kenny. People can obviously hit the timestamp so they don't want to hear all this or that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, very cool to see him do that. Overall, not the best week for me, but we keep grinding. I do love these designated events. It's just so good. Riv is such a good course. Always love that about it. We go to Honda. I still love this week. And it's another lazy week. I'll talk more about that when we get into it, but it's right. Like I said, Kenny, we got this one in between two designated events on this side, two designated on that side, including one of the biggest outside of the majors and the players. So this is a week I think people are just going to congregate to the same dudes, and we're going to find our edge. We'll get to that when we get to the tiers. Anything else you want to add, or do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I had 35% ROM and 25% Homa, which is the only reason I didn't lose all my money. So that was okay. But man, that cash really hurt bad. Taylor Moore, like I said, I'm gonna run him till he breaks, and he broke pretty fucking bad.
Very close. One stroke.
Well, I mean, he was top 20 with 7 holes left. And he missed it. So that hurt bad. That hurt. I was like, it's gonna be a good week. Yeah, my GPP sucked, but it'll be a winning week. I'll up my record to 10-6 for the year. Getting closer to that 70. And nope.
Oh, one more note too. The resurgence continues, Kenny. Matt Kuchar, 8.
Jason Day.
Gary Woodland, T9. Jason Day stays up there, T9. Harris English, T12. I know whatever, but like this has been a thing now this season. All these guys are starting to show up again. So very interesting to note that.
One thing about Rahm, I will say, it sort of reminds me of what happened with Scheffler last year, right? Scheffler went through, won all these events, got to the Masters, won the Masters, but then, remember, he didn't win an event afterwards, after the Masters, until last week. It could happen to Rahm, but I think, it'll be worth looking for the best number for him at the Masters. I don't think that's a horrible play. Like if you could find like 8-1, 10-1, the guy is on fire. I think he wins the Masters. And I who knows what he can get down to if he continues the way he's playing. I haven't looked at his current odds. My guess would be 8-1, 6-1, right?
I didn't look at it today, update, but yeah, it's just hard to bet. But
yeah, but it's something I don't know if I'll do it, but it's something you have to think about fucking guy is playing out of his fucking mind. And a major is 6.5. Yeah, Jesus, that's tough. I would think about it. I would think about it. I would think about making that my only bet. If it came down to it. We'll see how he plays for the rest of for what 4 weeks we have, 5 weeks until the Masters comes around, but. Normally, you look at a 5.5, 6.5, 7.5 to 1. You're like, no. Now you got to think about it because the guy's playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Tiger. What did you think? I mean, to me personally, it looks like he has a chance to win again. Personally, in my mind, because he made it through all 4 days. Yes, he's limping around, but that's something he's going to have to deal with. It's just going to be pain management. It looked like he could hit all the shots. In round 1, those last 3 holes, when we were watching it, I was watching on PGA Tour Live, they were sick. They were like a vintage Tiger. He hit that little, what was it, on 17, the par 3, that little cut, like piercing cut with like a wedge or a 9-iron, low altitude. I mean, the shots are all there. I will say the worry I have at Augusta is anytime he tried to hit it right to left off the tee, it looked like there was some issues. His best drives the whole week were, of course, the big loopy slices that he was able to get. So he was going to have to fix that before the Masters. But to me, if he plays 6 to 8 events a year for the next 4 years, I think he can win 2.
Ooh.
I think he can win 2. So if he plays 8 events for the next 4 years, that's 32 events. I think he can win 2. What do you think?
I'm probably the most unpopular take, so people will be coming at me, but I thought it was worse than what you, I think it's the opposite of what you said. I think, and the only challenge I would say is this. I think Tiger looked great. He did more than we expected, especially first couple days, Saturday, even solid. Some of those shots were just incredible. Great to see. But I think here's the problem, Kenny. He plays the best fields in the world at the toughest courses in the world, and you got to play all 4 days. It's, again, he's capable. He walked it all 4 days. He did it. I'm saying it just feels like it's tough. So honestly, to go on the opposite side of the unpopular take, not to play both sides, but I'm saying I honestly, truly think his best chance is like Augusta or the Open, something where it's like a thinking man's. You got to know the spots. You got to know
the Open. I think is better.
That's where if he did
Augusta.
it, or if he's really in the mix, I think that's where it's going to be. I mean, it was just what 3-4 years. I know it's 3-4 years. We're dating ourselves. We've been doing this a long time. But you go back. Remember the one like longer and couples were in the mix, and people were like, no way, like clearly no way, it's not going to happen. But that's different. When and Tiger literally went out and won like the year later and did his job. Now more injury, the leg, the stuff, all the factors that he mentions. But yeah, I'm not against it happening. I think 2 wins is a stretch, but I'm saying it'd be crazy that if I was to say there's a win, I think it's actually a major. Surprisingly enough, it's just where he's going to know the course so well, or he's just the way he can get around the course and get the job done. Otherwise, it's just going to be tough. These fields just loaded, man. And then on top of it, the hardest courses, all those factors. So
I think his iron, when it comes to irons, he could play. He's still one of the top guys out there. When it comes to his irons,
that driver too, like you said, for Augusta,
he needs to fix the driver. He needs to be able to hit a draw. You know what I'm saying?
But it's
that
Tiger.
Loopy,
he's going to do that. He's going to fix that.
Yeah. That loopy slice that he hit was great for this course because there was a lot of left to right, shots out there. Anytime he had to go right to left, it seemed like it was a struggle for him. So he'd have to finish that to contend at Augusta. I think the Open this year would be a great chance for him. Imagine him and Rory dueling it out on Sunday. I mean, Rory, I think, won an Open championship here, if I'm not mistaken, where they're playing this year. So I mean, that would be pretty sick. Definitely would like to watch that.
Rom would be in there too, of course. Don't forget.
Yeah. All right, so Full Swing. Let's go ahead. If you haven't watched Full Swing and you don't want to hear this, go ahead, check the timestamp right now and fast forward. We'll give you a second. All right. So personally for me, I enjoyed the hell out of it because you get to see your golfers, what they do and how their mind frame works. The biggest thing I noticed is how mentally fatiguing the game can be. Like if you watch the Brooks Koepka episode, I mean, that guy was lost, just completely lost. And that was 2 years from when he was the best player in the world. Now, looking back at him winning that live event, I know people were going to say whatever, fake event, whatever. I think it really was a big moment, hopefully, in his career to go out and win. Because I think at some point in time, I hope that these guys will be able to play back on the PGA Tour, or at least all the majors and stuff like that. And we'll be able to see him a little bit more. But, I mean, just the mental anguish that these golfers have to go through and to deal with. And, and all the other things that surround them with the family. Like, you go with Finau. Like, can you really blame somebody for thinking more about his family than golf? Probably not. Has Tony's family probably been a deterrence over the years for his game? Probably so. Would Tony change anything? Absolutely fucking not. You get this. I thought it was wonderful. And then the Dahmen episode. You could take that. I could see both sides of Joel. I mean, to have that type of skill and not really have the drive. The thing is, I bet you a lot of athletes think that way, but there's no way they're going to let people know that they're happy being the 50th ranked golfer in the world. Give me it was like 2-3 million for, a year. Now give me my 5 to 7 million being the top 50 golfer in the world playing these elevated events. And if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. I mean, you can look down on him because that's not what sports at least our athletes that we grew up with, that we idolize, that's not their mind frame. He's like anti-Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Like Kobe, me and you, probably one of our favorite athletes of all time, right, Tambo? And
Right.
he had that killer
Sure.
Mamba mentality. And, you know, a lot of people loved him for that, you know, just to work hard, become the best. That's not Joel. Obviously. Obviously, that's not Joel. I mean, the motherfucker drank like 3-4 White Claws in between, you know, his rounds qualifying for the US Open. And then he went and qualified and then finished top 10 at the US Open. So the guy obviously has skill. But can you really blame somebody if they're happy where they are? And I thought the show was brilliant. You know, I would have liked it better if it went more in chronological order. But I don't know how they could have done that. The worst episode was the Spieth and JT episode. The Domin episode, the Finau episode, and the Brooks episode. Those are 3 of my favorites. And I thought it was a great show. I can't wait for season 2. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and just to see what the golfers have to go through, and everyone's bitching about it. Yeah, they're rich, pampered, whatever. They got money, so what? Is that a detriment in life? No, you shouldn't talk down on people. Oh, they're rich, fuck them. I mean, fuck that shit. That's fucking stupid. That's jealousy. That's just dumb. You know what I'm saying? Let these guys fucking fly their private jets. They earned that shit. You know what I'm saying? They earned that shit. That shit wasn't handed it to them. You think they're the best golfers in the world and it's just handed? No, they worked hard for that shit. So the people who say, oh, these pampered fucks, I don't want to see these rich people. They earned the money that they got. Let them fucking live and watch and enjoy what you're watching. I mean, that's just my opinion on that. Because personally, I would love to be fucking loaded. I would love to have all the money in the fucking world like these guys. And I can't blame these guys for having money. What the fuck? Tam, what'd you think about the show?
Yeah, Karen at home. These pampered fucks. Get off my TV, and then she turns on Kardashians.
Yeah. Exactly. And these fucking dudes earned every fucking penny that they have.
I mean, that was the part you brought up. So I'll go in a few different directions. One, JT Spieth episode being first, horrible decision. I actually would have made the Finau episode. It drew every angle. He's popular enough. Yeah. It drew every angle of like pull at your heartstrings, family.
The JT Spieth episode just seemed like a waste.
It was good. Like I get why it was an episode, but I'm saying like that they should have rolled us in with the Finau one. I thought the last episode perfect with Rory, the send off, the tough finish, Cam going to live, like all that's like great lead up into it. I will stand by the point. There's no victory lapping a fucking documentary here, but I'm just saying we loved it. We knew we would. I fucking loved it. It was great.
It's great.
Incredible. We would pay. We're the same people though that would pay money. That's why we like, the mic'd up sessions right now. I want to hear Tom Kim and Morikawa and stuff do that because that's them in their element that we can never get close to. We love the caddy conversation. We only got to overhear it. The one of, like I said, Max and his caddy at the end of the round when it's like go time, you versus Rahm, you could drop back to like 4th and lose 7 figures right here, or you could take on Rahm and force him to make 4 and beat him in a legendary playoff at Genesis where Tiger's waiting greenside to see who ships it. Like it's just that's the aspect of it that you'll just never find anywhere else, and I love that part of it. And in the documentary, just so many of those things, the inside track of Joel Damon talking about that stuff, going, like you said, the White Claws at the US Open sectional qualifier, like, fuck it, I'm not even going to play the back 9 or the second 18. Maybe I'll get a few drinks at the turn and decide to play better. Goes out, gets the job done, shows up to the US Open and comes in 10th place. Like that is incredible.
Like first round leader almost, you know what I'm saying?
He was crushing the whole weekend. Put him on the block. He was in the room with the boys with like, who was it? Like Rahm, Morikawa, Rory.
Yeah.
At the table, like obviously he's well liked anyway, but Gino said, his caddy Gino is like, he's definitely become cooler with some of the dudes now. And like, he's in there. You get to see his party that he's hosting at his house. And it was kind of a two-way glimpse because we didn't get to see a lot of Max Homa. That was one of the cameos in it. But Max is like, sorry to eat and run, bro. But it's good. Like he's not in that mode. He's in it's time to be a killer mode. And look what we get out of it. Look what we've seen with Max Homa. It is interesting. And then you go look at Joel Damon. Again, I'll go back to Brooks. I want to finish there and then kick back to you. But go back to Damon. After that US Open, I should say, like not the best run, but after the show was filmed, go look at October and beyond. 13th, 37th, 16th, 3rd, 9th, 5th. Like maybe that was the kick in the ass. Like, we're going to edit this. You're going to be on TV saying you really don't think you're that good. And I know you're a jokester and all that, but don't you want to be that good? What if you actually tried? And look at the results that he's been able to put up. So I think that is key, just little things like that. And then my Brooks take will be I won't keep it long, Kenny. I want to kick it back to you on this one, but I think it was this. I know everyone's saying Jenna, and Jenna matters because, people are saying that when Jenna came into his life, all this, I don't think that's as much of a product as her, as people are saying she's thirsty and Instagram in the DM. She mentioned all that. I'll let you go in a sec, but I will say that it was someone else said it, and it was true to me, that when you have kids, when you get a wife, when things change in your life, we talk about it all the time on the show about getting married, golfers getting married. What happens? Sometimes it's a thing, but yes, other shit takes over. There's things on your mind. I get it. But the thing about Brooks was he was always super alpha. And you did the Kobe conversation. I'll go back to it because I love it. Obviously, Kobe's my favorite of all time. I don't think he had to, I don't think Kobe had to try to be that guy. I think it was just part of who he is. We always say this about Brooks: true, false, right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't care. I'm just saying my thoughts is that it was always a facade. It always had to be prove this or say this. And it was just too much. And obviously that's going to weigh on you because everyone goes on these runs, Kenny. Jason Day, huge run, disappear. Spieth, huge run, disappear. Came back. Day, coming back. Rory wins all those majors so quickly. No majors since. He's still done every other accomplishment. I'm not putting him in this class. I'm just saying, Scheffler, last year, you said it, goes the full run. What was it? Waste management, API, match play, Masters, showing up all over the place. Just wins again last week. I get it. I'm saying, but there's going to be a period like anything where you're not going to win. They said it in the documentary. It's hard. Other guys said it. You're going to lose at some point. I think it was Finau. It was some of the best stuff he was saying was like, you're going to lose at times, and you just got to play through it. The only way to lose is to not go back out and play again. Go back and play next week and see what happens. And so it feels like it got too much in Brooks's head. And then, he has a wife now. He has injuries now. He has these things. And like you said, again, from the show being filmed to recently, what happened to him? He won Live Jeddah. I don't care. It's an exhibition or 47 guy. After the fact, he was like, holy shit. He could barely talk. Remember you and I talked on the show. He was very emotional.
People thought it was an act.
Everyone's saying that now because no matter what, like Holmes is real, Brooks is fake. A lot of what Brooks was doing in the past could have come across as fake. When you watch that episode and then go see those emotions after the Live event, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest. I'm just making my point, in my opinion, is that it does seem to, like, obviously it made sense why he went now to get 9 figures and cash out at the top. I said this last week. It makes sense. He thought he was done. His injuries. He talked about all this stuff on the show. If they want to pay him that paycheck and he's allowed to sign on the dotted line, we all know why he went there. It's the point of seeing all that play out now. You're like, holy shit, like this guy was really having a rough go. Like he was definitely having a tough time battling.
Yeah, I think what happened was, some of the stuff he says, of course, I think he said for other golfers' ears. Because, a lot of it is mental in golf, and he wanted to be the alpha. And so, like, when he was at the top of his game, winning those 4 majors and saying he never practiced, I mean, everyone knew that was bullshit. Yeah. But it was something that he wanted to get out to put to other players to show them, like, I'm not even practicing and I'm beating your ass. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, a lot of the stuff he said back then, I think, was to get in players' heads. Which, so Tiger did the same shit. He just did it a little bit more silent, not as, a lot of the stuff that Tiger did where he wouldn't talk to people on the course, where, the stuff like that, where, it's just, he wouldn't even pay attention to you. You wouldn't even think you're alive playing against him, and other things that Tiger did, while talking about his game. Koepka was trying to get that range. The problem is his game, the injuries, and his game fell off. And so he couldn't back up that talk anymore. And that's another reason why people, started not liking him. What he did in that 2-year stretch and all this crazy shit that he said, I think a lot of that was trying to get in other people's heads. And it worked for a couple of years because he was the best.
But that's what he couldn't get. That's what I couldn't get out of what he was saying, Kenny, that you just nailed it there. That's the whole, like, he was like he was downplaying the run that he went on. Like, dude, you got 4 major trophies. I know there's other empty spots and you wanted to fill those too, but you said you're the majors guy. You're only going to get 4 tries a year if you're the majors guy that never practices and all this stuff. Like, and I remember, quotes of him in the past and talking about reading things about the Kobe's and those guys. And it's good self-help stuff to try and get better, to get that mental state and get in that mindset. But it's a little different, like versus Tiger owned that, and Tiger walked the walk for a very long time and continued to do it. But you can't downplay, like Koepka should never downplay the fact that he still won 4 majors in 2.5 years.
Well, I don't know if you can
Huge
be in
accomplishment.
somebody's head. I don't know if you could be in somebody's head like that. I mean, yeah, he won 4 majors in 2 years, okay? And then he didn't win shit for 3 years. Maybe 1 or 2 events. That's got to weigh on a person. And it obviously did. If you watched the documentary, I mean, that shit, the main thing he said was he used to be able to compartmentalize back, and the problem was his game was so poor that, he couldn't compartmentalize anymore. And when he came home, that depression, that poor play was still weighed heavy on him at all times. He just wasn't having a good time. And he thought his career was over, really, because of all the injuries.
That's also why I thought the Finau episode needed to go before or after him, because to that point, like, you also, by the way, throughout the show, a couple quick notes, like, but do you hear the stuff the fans are yelling at these guys? Like, there was some crazy shit like down the stretch. And so like Finau has to take home to his family of these top 5 Tony and top 10 Tony, and he has to compartmentalize for a family with the kids, with everybody, and then go back out and still find his way to, and then go and find a way to get the back-to-back wins and to do it, like, because he won. And I forgot about that, where people were like, it's not a real win. And he's like, all right, let me do it again then. And I'm gonna win again. And the last note for me, and I'll let you finish, is the one thing that I forgot, and I said Thegal earlier, and I'd save it for full swing. I forgot how, talk about luck and unluck. Like, man, that bounce on 17 at the Waste Management, when he hit that thing with everything, I know, but he literally got what was probably one of the worst bounces on 17 to click left, to then ride the left side of the green to go into the water and ultimately end up losing that tournament. But man, I really thought he did nothing wrong there. Just, I forgot how bad that bounce was. It's a little fun to end it on.
Yeah, I think Mayo is doing a recap show with Ben. So check that out on the Mayo Media Network. Tambo, if you talk to Mayo, tell him I want to be on the other shows, because I would love to talk about. I could talk about that show for fucking ever. It was great. Yeah. All right, so that's a pretty big preview. We about a 30-minute start there. Haven't even talked about the Honda Classic, and we're still not going to talk about the Honda Classic because we're going over our Listener League winner from last week, Smoke _401. No avatar, 519 total points. He had John Rahm the winner. Patrick Cantlay, of course, came in 3rd place. Rahm was 17% owned. Cantlay, 21% owned. Tom Kim finished in 45th. He finished in 45th place. He had 60 points. Shane Lowry, a nice solid showing for Shane after a couple of bad rounds. A couple of bad events. 14 finished in 14th, 7 under. He was only 3% owned. Tommy Fleetwood, who had a nice little late charge and then fell back a little bit on Sunday. -5, finished top 20. It was 14% owned. And Steven Yeager, who's always a Tambo favorite all the time, 2.5% owned. He finished in 40th place. What'd you think?
Like the lineup quite a bit. I wish he sent it to me. It would have won the mega. I believe it was 513 for Whistles Go Woo to win 1 million. So 519 would have got the job done. Definitely a nice lineup. What I liked, I had the same. I love the Rahm Cantlay start. I love Jaeger bombs. What I really liked is he went off the chalk in the 8K range, right? There was other guys in that 8K range with Hatton, Fitzpatrick, Jason Day, and Jason Day would have been better, but I'm just saying, like, he at least took a shot there of going with somebody different. And by going with Jaeger at the bottom, who is never going to see ownership, it allowed him to get that bottom mid range of the 7Ks, not the Patrick Rogers chalk or the pivots there, and not the 75 to 7,900. Again, he could have had better guys there. If you go Keith Mitchell instead of Lowry, I think it's slightly better, or mix it around, but you don't need to. The point was just picked off his spots roster construction wise and got the job done. Somebody said to me today on Twitter, though, I forget who it was, and this is funny, $7,400 Lowry, 3.3% in our tournament. Now he's going to be 20% at 10.4K for this week. It's the way things go. So excited for Smoke _401. Congrats to them. We'll see him in the 3-man this week. Got him today into the Tournament of Champions. And a shout out to my guy, Chris Negus, in 5th, down in Dominican Republic. I know right now, enjoying some drinks. So if he's listening to this, congrats to him. A top 5. I know he's been trying for a while. Some other regulars up there as well, but give him a special shout out.
Yeah, make sure you get into Listen really quick. I mean, we're recording this at 6 o'clock on a Monday. It's like 500 filled out of the 750. So yeah, get in if you can. All right. Hopefully it'll jump up here
Just
soon
hit 500 actually. Yeah. So just hit over 500.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
we're filling these things pretty quick. What you released at like 2:00 today.
Yeah,
So
it
noon.
was maybe a little bit before that, but yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
filling up fast. Surprisingly, again, for this week, the off week, we're going to talk about it in a second, what that usually looks like, but maybe not this week. Maybe I'll be wrong, but it's definitely a week people are dialed in. There's no NBA this week, the All-Star break, right? So it doesn't come back till Thursday. So that will have people in the golf streets. And then on top of the fact that NFL's over and all that, we're starting to kick in and just came off a big event with Tiger, Rahm, Homa, all the names that people follow throughout. So it should be a good one, Kenny.
All right. So the PGA Tour moves to Palm Beach this week for the beginning of the Florida Swing. We love Palm Beach. Shout out Cheetah. Great little strip club up there. Give us the VIP treatment every time we roll up in there. Now, PGA National's champion course is going to host this week's Honda Classic for the 17th time. The course is best known for the bear trap, of course, 15, 16, 17. A stretch of 3 difficult holes that'll probably decide the winner. I mean, like you look a few years back at Adam Scott, I think he was 3 up, before quadruple bogeying the 15th on a Saturday. He ended up coming back and winning the event. But I mean, that just goes to show you, 3 up to 1 down in 1 hole, not like that's not gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You'll be able to see something like that on that bear trap because it's incredibly tough. Now the bear trap is extremely hard, but that doesn't mean the rest of the course is easier. Holes 5 to 7 are also one of the most difficult 3-hole stretches on tour. Only 5 holes have played under par overall through the years. Those are the 2 par 5s, 1, 8, and 13. Another factor on why this course is so brutish is the wind. 10 to 20 mile per hour winds are the norm here. As of today, Monday afternoon, we're looking at like 20 mile per hour gusts every day. This could lead to carnage. You see carnage in this event year in and year out. Now, I'm not going to say don't play the chalk because if you see my cash game cornerstones this week, it's super chalky. But you can make differences here this week pretty fucking easy because to go against the chalk in this event is a very easy thing to do. Now, will you do it? How much you do it? That's going to be up to you. Now, yeah, this course super tough. Toughest course on tour, non-major, 6 of the last 10 years. You rarely see a winning score in double digits under par. You're looking at like 10 under and below is going to be the winning score, more than likely. A couple of let's get to the course actually. The Champions Course of PGA National, 7,150 yard par 70, 2 par 5s, 4 par 3s. 4 par 3s, some of the most difficult holes on the course. And the 2 par 5s, the 2 easiest holes on the course. Now, even though the course isn't significantly long, there are still 5 par 4s over 450 yards. The course plays even longer when you take into account that the average driving distance, average green and regulation, and average driving accuracy here are well below tour average. Off the tee, golfers are going to see average size fairways with lots of trouble if they miss. Tons of water, fairway bunkers, and thick rough will be in play on almost every tee shot. There is water literally everywhere, like 15 holes at this event. Since 2007, like well over 1,000 golf balls have met their doom in the water here at PGA National. Now, with all the course's defenses off the tee, you're going to see a lot of golfers hit less than driver this week. Now, on approaches, golfers will see Bermuda grass greens that are above average in size when it comes to actual square feet. In reality, a lot of the greens are long from front to back, but extremely narrow in width, which makes hitting the green very tough. Less than 60% of approach shots on this course actually find the green. That's very low number on tour. You're going to see a ton of approaches from 175 to 200 yards. Also, sand play could be important this week because a lot of holes have water like on one side and then sand on the other. Just human nature to go ahead and miss on the sand side. The greens are elevated, contoured, and surrounded by bunkers, water hazards, and false fronts on almost every hole. The greens should be fairly firm. Stim meter rating, Bermuda grass greens should be around 11.5. Tambo.
Man, dying over here. I got to clear my throat a little bit, but everything you said, main things I look at though, Kenny, tee to green, in general, you talked about, I'll go to strategy stuff in a second, but hitting the fairway has been key. Scrambling, good hands around the greens, like all the stats that you talked about, whatnot, but carnage, right? We can see that here. So strategy I want to talk about real quick is the double down. One, I said it already, these can be lazy weeks, meaning we'll see a lot of congested ownership versus these designated events are what we expected. They were very spread out. Even if a guy like Rahm got to 24% or Rory to 24%, it was these last couple of weeks where that was like the top point, and then everyone is from 15 to 20. There's just so many guys in there. This probably not the case. We probably see a couple spots where ownership gets completely congested. So you've got that where you can already be willing to go off the chalk on top of the carnage that we always see at this course. It was last year, I think, where after the 8th place and the win for Sungjae, he comes out and misses the cut here last year. So we know that everyone will say the same thing. It's not really a get right spot. You got to come in with your A game, got to find your way around, bear trap, all those factors. So I do think that in looking at it from that perspective, a lot of what we do on this first look will then be dictated by what does the ownership look like. I know I always say it's not who you play, it's how you play them. That's true. But that can mean some different things. And here in this one, like I don't want to pound together a bunch of chalk pieces for this week. If there was ever a week where you're actually just going to fade a bunch of it, this would be the spot to do it. It sort of always has been. And we'll give some real life examples when we get into the tiers.
Yeah, if you want to go strategy for GPPs, for cash games this week, I'm going about it a little different. Normally in an event like this where, there's like 2 or 3 guys that are so far and ahead above everyone else, you sort of pick one of those guys, but there's question marks on all. I mean, really, it would be Im and Lowry that you would start your lineup with. And there's question marks for both. Like you said, Sungjae had his worst outing of the year last week at Riv. He missed the cut here last year. Lowry, good finish last year, good course history, but prior to that, he was having a little bit of trouble for a few weeks. So, you don't know if he's able to come back and get it done. Like, I thought last week Justin Thomas was going to go ahead and get it done after a huge week at the Waste Management, just to ride that and keep that streak going. But of course, that didn't happen. He made the cut, but finished, outside the top 30. And so, stuff like that can easily happen up above. Now, if it was like Rahm, or if it was Scheffler, or if it was Rory, even if it was one of those 3 guys up top, then yes, you go ahead and roster them. But I am avoiding this range. Another reason I'm avoiding the top range in cash is, once you get below like 7,400, this is like straight ass garbage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't even want to waste a punt play that, a punt play for me, if it's 50-50, that's good. If I think it's a 50-50 shot that this guy will make the cut at a punt play at $6,500, yes, I'll go ahead and do that, and then go up high, to a Sungjae or a Lowry. I can't find nobody that I would give a 50-50 chance, just, with the eye test. You know what I'm saying? With the eye test, I don't see anybody. I can't give anyone a 50-50 chance under that range. So I cannot go down that far. So if you look at my cash game cornerstones this week, they're going to be a little bit different than normal. Let's go ahead and start at these tiers. Let's start off with Billy Horschel and up. Since there's only 2 guys over 10K. What are you going to do with the top guys? Anybody else? You're going to play Kirk? You're going to play Horschel? What are you going to do?
I just want to keep hearing you say Detective Shane Lowry, like Bad Boys. Every time you say Lowry, it just reminds me of Bad Boys there.
Yeah, Lowry. Yeah, Mike Lowry. Yeah,
Mike Lowry.
I think that's why I say it like that.
Because it has to be why you say it like that, because it just kept getting me every time you would say it. But this is the most interesting spot for sure. One thing you brought up that was key before I just go to the plays and just talking through it out loud is that, you mentioned that. Again, going back to these designated events, Kenny, the strategy. Look, not like Steven Yeager is this guy that you're going to trust fully, but last week, like, it's a solid tier guy down there that, top of his class, Corn Ferry Tour year coming out, all that stuff, where you could see where he can make you a cut or a Luke List or a Vegas or guys like that. You could take shots down there. You can take shots this week, but to your point, I don't think they're the best shots like we've had other weeks. So you will pick and choose. I'm going to stick to my same strategy that's been working for the last couple of years, and that is taking my stands down low, spreading it out up top, at least up here for me. A couple of the guys that stand out for sure. Sungjae, not the best week last week, but again, this is another strategy piece, Kenny, just going back into it. Everyone will say, 10-7 Sungjae. If he doesn't win, I mean, he's not even likely to win. The odds have him favored. Shouldn't say it like that because everyone will come back. He's likely to win. He's 8-1 to win or whatever the books say, but we know there can be cards. He just missed the cut here last year. My point is, though, if you find the long shot winner in the 8K range and they win, you still got to fill out your roster somewhere. If Sung Jae's in 12th or 10th, that can still work. It's not when somebody is 12-5 and you say, well, damn, if I'm paying that kind of price with all these studs around him, he's going to need to win. It's not the same case here because, like you said, all these guys up top are 3 or 4 of them could miss the cut, and Sung Jae could come 20th and be all you need. It's not the same as what I was trying to say. Obviously, the odds say he's likely to win. He's 8-1, but he can come first, he can come 8th, he can miss the cut. That's his last 3 results. We could see any of those or anything else again. So keep that in mind. The other thing about Lowry, your boy, 2nd, 36th, 21st, the last 3 years, shows up last week just to give us that little bit of love here. Now let's get in on the action. He could be the next version of that. 21st, 36th, and 2nd is not that much different than 1st, 8th, and a missed cut. Maybe his turn to miss the cut is this year. So I don't hate your call of just skipping these top 2 guys entirely in some lineups and building that way. So I do like that. Other than that, though, not as high on Kirk or Horschel. The one thing about Horschel, though, is that, you look at where he does his best stuff in Florida, on Bermuda, tougher tracks, winning the Memorial, like all these things that you can talk about. And Memorial is different. I'm just saying, like, winning on a tougher track, but just in general, I could see where he could become a good tournament play. I don't think people believe in Chris Kirk very much, even though he came 7th here last year, and before the missed cut, he had a couple thirds.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I think that's the leverage play here, right? Kirk.
Or Horschel. I don't know as many go to Horschel here, but I've got another one coming up. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm going to play Sung Jae. I think I'm going to play Shane. Maybe 30% each. But that still leaves me 40% of my lineups, maybe even more, because I'm sure there'll be some of my lineups that are going to have both Shane and him. So you're looking at like 45% of my lineups that won't have any of them. And so I'm going to pick one between Kirk and Horschel. I haven't made up my mind yet. I will look at ownerships when it comes down to Wednesday. I mean, just first look, I would rather go Kirk just based on numbers. But Horschel's had success here. And you're right. It's Florida. You sort of want to jump on before everyone else does. So we'll see on that. So, I'm going to play the 2 guys up top, but Horschel and Kirk. I mean, don't sleep on those guys, because I think you can get value there and ownership wise when it comes to those guys. Now, when it goes down a little bit lower, I mean, I think Wise seems like the guy who might get overlooked, with Kuchar right there, Denny probably being popular, Dietrich. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think Wise's ownership would be? Do you think it's going to be above 15%? I think it could be like 10 to 12.
Coming off a couple missed cuts, so I don't know how people are going to treat it. He does pop in the stats. Kuchar obviously just played well. People are betting Denny. Denny's got a good record, 30 and 3rd here, coming off a 14th missed cut and a 4th. So it's tough to say. The one guy, though, I was getting people DM me today like mad about this guy's price in Minwoo Lee. Why is he priced like that? Why is his odds like that? Like, I don't know if you follow it too much, but like, this is what's interesting, where I always talk about this stuff, especially in these type of fields where strength of field that they play in and have had success. And I know it's last year, but if you go back, Minwoo Lee, 21st at the Open, 27th at the US Open, 14th at the Masters, Euro Tour, DP World Tour, etc. All these things, Japan Tour things coming in, 12th, 2nd, 3rd. I mean, this guy to me, doing just fine for this price tag. So in tournaments, I'm going to play some Minwoo Lee. He's not going to pop on stat models, but I'm just saying that to me is more than enough reason to play a guy like him. It won't be as common for other people to do it. So I'm okay with him. I think Noren could bounce back. Noren actually has had some good success here. He's coming off 2 missed cuts, but it wasn't like he blew up last week. It just wasn't his week. It wasn't, plus 10, plus 12, bottom of the board, terrible week.
I mean, he got to like plus 6 at one point in time because I was following him.
But I'm saying, like, because I played him. It was 7,300 or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not gonna go away. That's kind of when you want to do it. Like, if I liked him last week, I don't think it's that much different for this week. So I'm gonna be fine with him. Denny's the one I struggle with. He looks great on paper though, and everyone's gonna like him for good reason. We'll have to see though with that ownership. You talk about Dietrich, who's right below him, Kuchar, Lee, Noren, guys like that above. So I'm not sure how much I'll get to there, but he definitely still looks good on paper.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and do my cash game cornerstones next, because they're all in this next range, and it's the chalk range. There's no doubt about it. But like I said, I'm going with the chalk That's how it's going to be. Taylor Pendrith, Thomas Dietrich. I think he's third. You said it was third behind Rahm and Rory in made cuts.
Rahm and Xander, the made cuts.
Rahm and Xander's in the made cuts.
14 straight made cuts. Yeah.
14 made cuts. He hasn't played this event before in the past, but when you just look at his numbers, the putter is there, really good on par fours, bogey avoidance, one of the best, really good out of the bunkers. Give me a little bit of Thomas Dietrich to go ahead and start my cash game cornerstones. The next is going to be Pendrith. I've been talking about Pendrith for the whole year. I think he's going to win an event. I went ahead and bet him this week. Tee to green, he's solid. Again, really good with his longer wedges, really good bogey avoidance, really good on long par fours. You're going to see a bunch of those. I know I was listening to Mayo's research pod, and he was talking about how Pendrith has excelled at shorter courses, even though he is a longer golfer off the tee, sort of like a Woodland-esque type of game where it works even when his biggest weapon is muted a little bit. So check back on the Mayo's research spot, because he goes over like all the courses where he's top 10, top 15. Almost all of them are like 7,200 yards or less. So I'm in on him. Of course, Svensson, top 10 last year, top 15 last week. The stats are there. He's a proven winner in a field basically equivalent to this, last fall at the RSM. So go ahead and give me some Svensson. And then I'm going Vegas. The guy's just been making a lot of cuts, been playing extremely well, makes a lot of cuts here at this event. Of course, stat-wise, his iron game is, a strong tee to green, one of the best in the field. All right, so cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Detry at 9,000, Pendrith at 8,900, Svensson at 8,700, Vegas at 8,600. This leaves you $14,800 to fill out the rest of your lineup. And so this type of strategy, in the great words of Tyga, chalk city, bitch, chalk city, bitch, 10, 10, 10, 20 on your titties, bitch. I mean, it's just chalk city. That's just what it's going to be this week. That's how I'm going to roll. And so, it could bite me in the ass. But again, you don't really worry about ownership too much in cash. These are the best plays I think I'm going to roll with to try and get my 6 of 6. Tambo, let's go down to this 8K range. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, the Svensson, I bet him today like everybody else. And I know it goes back. People talk about this. I think it was the 2015 Q School final or whatever that he won here. So that gets a little bit of talk as well. So people want to bring that in. Some of the other guys, I was just pulling up the list to look at that, had like KH Lee, Denny McCarthy was up there. Shout out Ollie Schneider-Jans. He was in the mix. Taylor Pendrith, 14th. Albin Choi, 14th. Ben Silverman, who we'll talk about later, won a Corn Ferry Tour event a few weeks back. He was 14th at that same spot. So this doesn't matter because it's years ago. I just always like to look up when people mention that stuff. It is kind of interesting. In this range, though, you mentioned it. Taylor Pendrith, guys that I'm pretty much always on. Pendrith, Poston, Vegas. Going down the board, Straka showed a little something last week, and he's last year's winner. So you could go back to him. I've got no problem with that. The one I think I'll struggle with the most in DFS, especially because popular, is Svensson. Even though it all lines up and makes sense, it's what, 9th last year, 9th last week, and a Q School win here back in the day. Like, to me, at that ownership percentage that he may get to, there's a lot of other options you can go to. I liked your Thomas Dietrich call up at the top, again, making cuts, 14 straight, solid numbers, everything coming in. And his finishes, I know he's at 9K, but we kind of did it that way, 9 down to 8. His finishes are all like 30th and stuff, where we talk about this all the time. I know it's 2 shots either way from 60th or 15th, but like a couple of those could have been up there and it would look even better on paper. So I think that's at least a little bit interesting. And then the other guy, Moronk, I know Mayo was on him big last week at 6,900. He liked him. He's coming in now, another 45th, not the best, but 4th, 10th miscut before that. Like, he's got the form coming in. So at 8,300, it's not that big of a price jump when you consider some of the others here. So I don't hate that. When you think of it like this, Kenny, Noren, $7,300 last week. And I know it goes by world ranking and all that. I know it works clearly. I'm saying, but just point this out. 7,300 up to 9,500 on a miscut. You go from Moronk, made cut, 45th, could have been better, from 6,900 up to 8,300. Probably still no ownership. So I just look at stuff like that in events like this and try and take it all in. And that's one thing that stood out to me right away. $8,300 for Moronk. It's kind of interesting.
One last thing I forgot about Aaron Wise. When it comes to playing on difficult courses relative to par, he is the best in the field in strokes gained total, strokes gained tee to green, and also DraftKings points. On difficult courses, he is number one in this field in the last 50 rounds. So Wise can get it done on hard courses, is what it seems like. All right, so I went over most of the chalk guys. I'm going to play those guys in cash. Now, when we're going to GPPs, I like Harris English a little bit. It looked like his game stepping up last week. Former winner. At least he's played well before. Has he won here? No, he hasn't won here. I don't think. I think he has some good finishes at least. And so the guy is just coming off 2 years ago when he was top 20 player in the world. Hopefully, he's getting some of that back. The injury that he has, maybe it's receding a little bit, not bothering as much. We'll see. We don't get injury reports, so we don't know. But he looked pretty good last week, and being so accurate off the tee here, with decent iron play, at least used to have decent iron play. We'll see if he caught something last week and is able to use that as motivation and sort of a jump start to a good week at the Honda. All right, let's get down to the 7K range. Up top, I like Aaron Rai, another guy who plays well in difficult courses, difficult conditions. You could go ahead and see him. I mean, this event used to be like all the Euro Tour, but most of those guys are playing on Live now. But you still get some of them. And even though he's a tour player now, the guy made his bones overseas. He knows what to do when the wind is up. So I like Rai. I like Hodges, really strong finish. I liked him last week. I talked about him as one of my, low price plays. He was 6,200. I know he was one of Gup's favorite plays last week as well down there. Stat top 20 here last year also. So I mean, he looks all right. Benny On, of course, another guy who does well on difficult courses. He's been making a good amount of cuts. I think he missed last week. Prior to that, he's been making cuts. He's had success here in the past. Any other guys in this top range?
I love this top range. This is where I'm going to spend most of my money this week, Kenny. When you look at this, it's all the guys I love week in, week out, and they're all capable here. I don't care if they played it before or not. I think if you don't have a winner come from 9K and above, this is probably the range, like 7,500 to 79 is just loaded with guys that people are betting. I'm not gonna, so I'll pick my favorite guys. I said, like, they're all there, like Griffin, Shelton, Jaeger, there's so many, but Rye, always love Steven Jaeger. Lee Hodges, you talked about, played well last week. Buckley, guy I've been waiting on. I'm a Nick Hardy fan and a Joey B fan. So Willett as well at 7,400. There's like 6 guys there of those 10 that I really like. And then the rest you could sprinkle around, especially, Kenny, if you go with your strategy of like more balanced, you can just fill it out, have a bunch of these guys in your mix and not have to worry as much of the 6K guys. And then that allows you to play more guys in this range, because I think there's a lot, at least in the upper 7Ks, that people are betting and going to be playing here. For me, repeat it, Jaeger, Rye, Buckley, Hardy, and Joey Bramlett. Those are my favorites.
Yeah, if you're going down to the lower range, I like S.H. Kim. He's probably my favorite play, probably in the whole entire 7K range. It was really nice reading Steve Bamford. Actually tipped him. I liked him before I read Steve's article, but now, after reading Steve, go check out at Bamford Golf. Always one of the best reads out there week in and week out. It made me feel better. And one of the things that Steve talked about in his article was, the wins that SH had in Asia. So 3 wins in Japan and South Korea. Those wins came at -10, -5, and -13. So, tough courses, obviously, with the winning score being there. And those are the 3 wins he has with his short game, good putting. He's hitting the ball farther than I thought he could hit the ball when he first came out. I really, really like S.H. Kim a lot. One of my favorite plays this week. Other guys that now after him is when you start. I mean, I don't know, like Adam Schenk, maybe at $7,300. And then I like Callum Tarrant as sort of at difficult courses where the wind could get up. I like Callum as well. Anybody else down here? Ben Taylor, another guy down here at the 7,200 mark, who I think can handle these tougher conditions and stuff like that, and has been playing, pretty good golf here recently, especially for that price tag. Tambo.
What happened to Callum Tarrant last week? He was one of the plus 10 guys, I think, down at the bottom.
Yeah, I know.
Crushed me in a couple. So yeah, I definitely hated that, but could go back to him here. I got no problem with it. More of my guys. I'm gonna give this guy a pass. I know we talked about, it's not a get right spot, but man, got to try my guy Davis Riley out again at 7,400. Keep losing money on him, but SH Kim is better there. You got some of the old guys, Kenny, Resurgence, Opportunities, Harrington, and Hoffman, the Double H. But
don't sleep on Patty. I know our producer talked about him before, and he's been playing well across the pond. He's been playing well. Didn't he win like a senior major? Something like that? I mean, like, the guy's playing pretty good golf, and the way he takes care of his body and the way he takes care of his swing, I would say, like, physically, he's probably much younger than the 50-year-old, 51-year-old age that he is.
Yeah. And he's perfect in your lineups. I think he actually won here the same year Adam Svensson won the Q final. He won the actual event, it looks like. So just going back to the charts. But yeah, the other guys in this range, Grayson Sig, 7,200. Fratelli. One thing I'll say about this guy, again, Tom not getting right and whatever, but man, he missed the cut by he just needed to make one of the 4-footers at the end. He came back out after the restart, did his thing. This guy just needed to make one of those 4-footers. He missed like 2 or 3 4-footers in the last 4 holes. He was dialed in, I'm telling you. So that guy is interesting to me. Malnati came back and played good again. Hubbard actually has, again, didn't play the greatest lately, but 15th, 46th, 11th, solid stats here that you can find. Like, I think he's okay. And then right at 7K, Sam Stevens, another guy at 7,000. Go back to another option here. So I don't know. I don't love the low 7s as much as the upper. But that just, again, can speak to some of those balanced builds. You have to land somewhere. But I'll kick off the 6K range because my first guy's right there. I've been playing him. Kevin Tway. Going to keep rolling it out. He was fine last week. I know Hodges was better at 6,200, but there was a world where you could actually play both last week and be able to jam in like Rahm, Homa, Cantlay, get that top of the board. So interesting on that. And he's only 6,900. I always classify these guys as basically the same thing. After that, though, it's tough. Mayo's guy, Eric Cole. 15th at Pebble, 6 of his last 7 made cuts. So maybe I'll actually take him serious on the Eric Cole play this week at 6,900. I don't hate that. Mike Kim, he's 11th at the Pebble event. And if you go back and look too, it was all without a putter. So really didn't do much there. And then I'm hearing some love for Pearson Coody. I'm also hearing that Parker Coody, his brother, is likely to get in on the Monday Q. We'll wait and see how that shakes out. But Pearson Coody won a few weeks ago now, I guess, on the Korn Ferry Tour, his second Korn Ferry Tour win. So maybe he brings some moxie in here. After that, though, only other guy I really like, and I played him a lot last week, is Tyler Duncan. Love the first name, of course, as always, but solid last week, 33rd. Some good stuff on him. I think his game is coming around a little bit, so I kind of like Tyler Duncan at 6,600 as well. Not much below. I'll take a look. Will you go through your guys in the 6K range?
Yeah, I mean, one guy I missed at 7K, Aaron Baddeley. Been playing decent, making a good amount of cuts, has a good history here. Well, maybe he does. Maybe he hasn't played here in a while. I think when he played here before, he's played well. It's been a minute, I think, since he's actually played this event. And then, I like one guy. I like the guys that you talked about. So Tway is on my list. Eric Cole's on my list. Coody's on my list. Ash K's on my list. But I think one guy who's going to go on like 3% less, probably Matthew Wallace. Whenever Wallace pops, it seems like it's in a difficult course. I think if you look at I think he's like top 20, top 15 in strokes gained total on difficult courses in the last 50 rounds in this field. So, again, the field isn't great, but again, somebody who goes out there and, sort of plays to the level of the course, and he sees a tough course, he goes out there, sometimes he can ball out. Andrew Novak is Sundog Monkeys low pick of the week. If you don't check Martin's article out, make sure you do that at Sundog Monkey. I didn't really read why he liked them, but that's why you got to go and read. But that's a Sundog Monkey play down here. He likes Andrew Novak. After that, I'm done. Like, I don't see nothing. You could talk about your Ben Silverman, you could talk about your Vincent Norman, but I don't know if I'm going to go down there. What about you?
Yeah, no, it's not much here. The Norman play you mentioned, Sky was on him. Skyhook DFS on Twitter. He liked him a couple weeks back, so could take some interest there. I don't know. I heard some love for Kevin Roy today, Chris Stroud, like these guys. I can't get there. And if these guys are the ones that bust me, you're just taking shots. I'd rather just start at 6,600. I feel good about Tyler Duncan or some of those guys above him, the Eric Cole, all those guys that we've been playing, Kevin Tway, and then you could just easily build lineups. There's only 2 guys in the 10K. So if you don't go there, you can easily build lineups that don't need to go anywhere near the 6K range. So I'm happy just to, again, take my stands down low, get different up through the middle with that upper 7K range and the guys at the top. That's really how it looks like things are going to shape up for me this week, at least.
All right, that sounds good. I guess let's get the bets. Tambo, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Yeah, I got a full 6-pack this week, Kenny. I like all these guys. I want to take these shots. Buckley, 40. Jaeger, 55. Svensson, 55. Rye, 60. Danny Willett, 70. And SH Kim, 80. All with 8 places. Normally don't love 8 places on a guy like Buckley at 40, but at this event, this spot, anything can happen. I'm taking it. I'll just protect the whole field from it. And that way you can hit a winner and a couple guys in the top 8. It can be solid that way when you're betting it. So feel good about those 6 bets.
All right, I got 5. I went ahead and got Dietrich at 30-1, Vegas at 35-1, Pendrith at 40-1, Hodges 50-1, SH Kim 90-1.
Nice.
One and done. I think I'm going Lowry. I don't see me using him anywhere else.
Lowry. All right. I don't know what we'd be saving him for, but man, he's going to be popular. So I don't know. I looked at him. This is maybe where I would pull the trigger on Denny and one and done more likely, like something like that. I don't know. I'm not against Denny in DFS. He is 9,100. He's a unique price there. There's no one that you're really competing with. You can pivot to different guys. You don't have to, though. That's the thing. So yeah, I'll probably play Denny too, but I like Denny for one and done. Do you have anybody off the board completely that you would go to like way down there? Like SH Kim, would you do that or just?
Yeah, I'd probably go SH if I went down the board, but that's not how I'm playing one and done this year. I'm just going to play the best plays week in and week out until I run out and then figure out what the fuck I need to do. Because I mean, the thing is, what happened, I was in like 40th place 2 weeks ago, and then my guys finished like 8th and like 35th in the 2 elevated events, and I went to like 1,000 to 1,200th place.
Yeah.
The elevated events, you cannot fuck up on those, and fucking up is like not getting a top 5. Because
it's good though. I love that it's another added piece to the strategy. I know people said like yesterday, because Mayo posted him and I do one on the Wednesday show, and we had Scheffler get the W, and then we had Homa come up short and finish second and vaulted up to the top 50 from those 2 events. It's like 5.5 million or something. But someone said like, oh, that's what makes one and done shit this year because these new designated events. Like, no, that's literally part of the strategy.
That,
the RBC Heritage might pay more than the Masters or whatever it is. I forget what they said, how it's going to shake out. The last I saw, I don't know if this is right because the Masters is to be determined, but RBC Heritage is an elevated event the week later with 20 million purse, like what we've had these last couple of weeks. So that's a big event now that it wasn't once before. It's just incredible, Kenny. And there's so many of them. API, players, match play, Heritage. It's just so much good golf. Love it. It's going to be a great season. Excited for that. That's my one and done, though. That's my rant on one and done.
You can find me on Twitter at KendoVT. You can find my article on gupscorner.com. Use promo code Kenny. Save yourself 30% on a membership. Come join the fam. Tambo.
Find me on Twitter at ToeTagAndTambo. Tidbits will be up on Wednesday. That's just all the best free content I find from around the industry, curated in one place for you guys to check out. Good little thread every week. It's the only thread I do, so you can check me out there on Twitter at ToeTagAndTambo. Add me, and then go over to runpuresports.com. If you want to get in all the premium action, it's all sports, one price. You can use promo code TAMBO15, get 15% off to get you started. But the premium show will be every Wednesday, myself and Big T. And then we'll have our player pools, our cores, all that on top of all the other sports that are going on around the DFS world.
All right, so one of our favorite courses should still be a fun watch, even without the best field. Chalk City, bitch. Let's win some motherfucking money. PGA Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort, stacking pennies.